Thanks, Cade. Welcome back to another episode of Business and Politics Inside. I am here today. We are here today with Jeff Watts, the Executive Director of Rally Point Nonprofit Council, and Zach Farley, the Director of Legislative Affairs for Rally Point Nonprofit Council. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. Wanted to talk to you today about Rally Point, what you guys have got going on, what it is, and how you're helping the community.
Well, Rally Point is a leadership network of nonprofits. Our end users are the nonprofit leaders. Started back in 2013 in the nonprofit sector and just had to gut it out and figure things out. Just a lot of I don't know what I don't know. And so whenever I became available to start this, I started wondering what could we use for what do we need to do to help the nonprofit sector? And so we came up with our mission vectors, and we've had a lot of success. Short bit of time, and we're excited to be here.
Awesome. Zach, what's your role with Rally Point?
So earlier this year, I met Jeff through a mutual friend through what we called the Wellness Initiative Network. Retired from Little Rock PD here in Central Arkansas. And my background is military and law enforcement with a passion for wellness and kind of dealing with those things in those arenas. I've got a degree from Bowen Law School here in Little Rock. So been around the legislative things a little bit through like the FOP and efforts there. And so Jeff brought me on to try to help create the relationships, with the state legislature and in the communities and the government offices, push things out and get some resources to the people that need it through the nonprofit world. And so anything that involves nonprofit stuff that our legislators want to get involved in, city leaders, we want to work with them to make that as best as possible.
Okay. City leaders. What city are you guys based out of?
Little Rock.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. When you say wellness, what do you mean?
So wellness in that context would be your first responders, police, fire, EMS, obviously the traumatic PTSD, and dealing with that and getting people the mental health wellness. So mental health, physical health, even in that, you want people that are providing those services to be the best they can. All right. Physical injuries, you want them to go back to work as quickly as possible, to provide better. The better they are in those areas, the better service they're going to provide.
Like
you want to keep them healthy.
Yeah.
And so wellness in the context of your first responder, law enforcement especially, is a lot of the mental health stuff that had been in the industry there was a failure to address it for, I guess,
long time.
Robert Peel, the father of law enforcement, until this century, basically. And then obviously Iraq and Afghanistan, coming through like the VA, the troops coming back, the combat vets coming back. There was some real traction with that stuff because we created a lot of veterans, a lot of combat veterans in the last couple decades.
A lot of need.
And a lot of need there. And it was really, that brought it to the forefront. All right. And then so that trickles down because it's not too far, the first responder world is not too far removed from the military world, right? And a lot of overlap. And so especially in the last 10 years, at least the larger agencies and some smaller agencies, I think there's one of the best programs probably in this state is a small agency, I think it's one of the best programs, one of the best in practice implementation. So,
and you're referring to a wellness program?
Yeah.
And
and taking care of your people.
Who is that?
Siloam Springs.
Siloam Springs has a solid wellness program for their.
He's got applicants. He's got a line of applicants.
Yeah,
he's fully staffed.
Zero turnover, and we've got a waiting list.
Right, and so, and that's more of a burnout problem in that world. You get a lot of the stressors. If you're not dealing with it, it's easy to burn out in that line of work. And so agencies are starting to realize that. They're getting a lot of buy-in from upper level leaders and creating wellness units. And that's what the terminology. And it has a lot to do with mental health, but it also includes helping find resources, spiritual health, and having, you have your IODs, you have your injuries on duty, getting people healthier, or back to 100% faster, getting them back to work. And when you do that, I mean, you don't have your long-term residual physical effects. And hurt somebody later on down the road. So you're getting a better service provider and a better service. So
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Awesome. And it's good to know.
And I think, like you said, the last 10 years, it's been a more holistic approach. The VA has made leaps and bounds, and I think it's being mirrored on the first responder side. It's that holistic approach where it's not just physical to get you back in the fight, but also the mental, the psychological, the overall wellness of the human and as a full capacity. I think that's one of the big things that's made a big difference in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah. So when I came home from overseas, I'd been in law enforcement in the reserve components, and so I had a civilian career, and then go overseas and come back, and so I'm not really thinking about all that stuff, right? And I went to deployed to Baghdad in 2006. So we've got 3 years there. Yes, so 2002 was Afghanistan, or 2001 when the first little small group went. But there had been a lot of people deployed on two fronts in some major operations, major theaters. So there was a lot of test cases, I guess that's the right terminology, coming home, en masse. And so they had actually started to develop what was called returning OIF, OEF veterans through the VA. And I had gotten injured and had to have a surgery, and went through a program for reserve component guys, luckily right here in Central Arkansas. So I didn't have to go off in another state, but they asked the right questions and get you into the VA, system, and we were put to the front of the line as opposed to waiting back then months and years for things. Where we failed the veterans from even Desert Storm, that era, Panama, Vietnam. There was some accountability being meted out, and we've really, because there's so many people coming back, and then rotating back over and coming back again. And VA's not perfect, obviously. It's government work, but they have really. There's been a lot of change, and especially in the mental health areas. We're in, especially law enforcement. It was really hard to get the. Oh, good.
Sorry about that.
Start back. In law enforcement, it was really
so
hard.
In law enforcement, it was it's taboo, right? And even in the military, taboo. Really, everybody's heard the story about Patton slapping the kid in the hospital. Basically get back to work, get back to the front of the line. He got in a little trouble for that. Maybe got a reprimand or a lashing over that, but that was it was a different time. And coming up as like a young guy in law enforcement, nobody talked about that stuff. There have been some pretty traumatic things and a lot of violence seen in a lot of cities, and it is what it is. We're human beings. We're not wired to do the things that we have to do sometimes. Or I guess we're wired to do them, but we're not. It's not natural to be exposed to that much violence.
Comes at a cost.
Yeah,
definitely.
And so I say, my youngest kid asked me, goes, "How did you do this for so long?" Like, And it was like, just go to work and do it. I said, but don't think it didn't cost. And you got to unload that. You got to treat it. You can't put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You know what I mean? You got to fix it. It can be fixed. And anyway, it was so hard to bring that out because people were scared, you know.
To say it out loud.
They were
for
going to
fear
be
of
stigmatized.
judgment, stigma.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They want to be seen as weak.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you had to have people say, no, I mean, whatever, you can talk about me all you want. I need to get fixed. I'm not weak. I ain't supposed to do this stuff. Normal people don't get to see that side of the world, you know. Some people don't even understand that it exists.
Yeah.
But, and so as the years have come on, I noticed, you know, after probably 2012, 13, around, you know, upper level administrators, especially military, and then in the law enforcement world, we're coming around.
Okay.
And then your old school chiefs were retiring, or you know, and they were bringing in younger, bringing somebody new and younger, you know, the next generation, and they were more progressive, and there was a lot more buy-in. And then they realized, oh no, we did have a problem. And I watched a lot of good cops, probably a couple of the greatest cops, lose, you know, to that, you know. And I don't say they lost, the agency lost out. The community lost that.
Yeah.
All right. They could have been saved, I believe, their careers, right? And we've lost a lot to suicide, right? Industry-wide, military and first responders. Some of those can be saved, but I personally know people that their careers, their jobs could have been saved in the beginning.
Man,
And
that's a shame.
everybody knew it. Yeah, with alcohol a lot with cops. You know, not a lot of drugs. You know, military. You guys came home and they need that high or whatever, and risky behavior.
That's a shame. It's good to hear that they're addressing these things
Yeah.
and moving forward. Tell me more about the council side of this. Yeah.
Yeah, the rally point side of it is the wellness is a large portion of that. We've been able to do some good work with Zach and the team that we brought on. Overall, the idea behind the nonprofit council is how do we bring these nonprofits together? A lot of nonprofits are head deep into the mission, and they're working in silos. And a lot of times, the burnout rate is just astronomical. It's through the roof because they are trying to do it all themselves. And so what we found is that a nonprofit leader that thinks that he has to do everything himself is the one that's going to burn out. It won't last. Energy and excitement and enthusiasm are all finite resources. It's not infinite. It'll be something that you'll find that that guy that tried to do it all himself is no longer in business just because he's got family. He's got probably a full-time job or two. He's got church. He's got dogs. He's got cats. He's got whatever. And then at 10 o'clock, whenever the kids are in bed, then he's doing the nonprofit stuff. And you just can't do that.
Yeah, everybody needs help. Everybody needs a good team.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And I've done it both ways. I've done it to where I've done everything myself. And
Let me stop you right there if you don't mind. You've done it yourself. So you're running a nonprofit that helps and advises other nonprofits. What makes you the guru? Why do you have a history? And I don't mean that any kind of way other than what, I mean, you have a history with nonprofits.
Absolutely. Like I said, I was in the business since about 2013. I started out as a chapter commander for Sheepdog Impact Assistance in Little Rock. And for the first 4 years, it was always easier for me just to do it myself. When you first start out, you don't have people with you. So it's you. In my case, it was me and my wife and my teenage daughter. We were at all the events. We did 13 events in 8 months.
Yeah.
And it's just anybody that would give us 10-foot by 10-foot piece of space, we were out there. So it didn't matter if we actually had an ROI. We were just out there hustling. And it took us a while to figure out, okay.
What's an ROI?
Return on investment.
Okay. I didn't know if it meant something else.
No.
Yeah.
That return
okay.
on investment. We learned that probably going to a game. What is it? The paintball. Going to a paintball tournament where everybody is LARPing about being in the military. There's not a whole lot of ROI on that.
Right.
We were able to get out there, and a lot of these kids saw what we were doing and liked the idea. But as far as did it move the ball down the field? No.
Yeah.
But with stuff we figured out, and at a certain point you get a little bit more discernative about, okay, well, let's stay on this track, or let's not get off, not have mission creep or have event creep. So after 4 years, because I'm not that bright, it took me 4 years to burn completely out.
Yeah.
My health suffered. My marriage suffered. It was just I was just a bear to live with. There's a principle called "be where your feet are," and I never was. I was always thinking about something else, dealing with the chapter. So after 4 years, burnt completely out. Passed it off to somebody. They lasted about a year and a half. Came back to me, and the thing that whenever he called me and said, "Jeff, do you want it back?" I talked to my wife, and she said, "Well, the only way I'm going to sign off on it is if you put a team together.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're not doing it, because I saw what it did to you last time." And so I'd been married more than 15 minutes at that point. So I saluted sharply, and I did exactly what I was told.
Right.
And so I reached out to a bunch of people that I'd worked with over previously and still had relationships with. And I said, "Look, we're doing it differently this time. I'm putting together a team." And that made a huge difference. And so I did another 2-year tour at that point, and made all the difference in the world. I had people that I could give sectors to. They had a little part of the range card, and I had a little part of the range card. And so I wasn't trying to do all of it, wear all the hats.
Yeah.
It's a little different because you're having to explain what you're trying to do. Call it commander's intent. That uses a different part of your brain to do that. But that was something that was key to the success of the chapter. After that third two-year term, I retired again, and a year later, I came back on as a director for the national office. And in doing so, I was able to coach up some of the teams and chapters across the country, and be able to use the experience that I had and I would tell them, I'm going to give you 5 ways I did it wrong, so it may save you some time.
Right.
And so sometimes that is what they need. Or, hey, I got an idea. What do you think about this? And so a lot of that collaboration back and forth was something that I really dug. And then I was also in charge of disaster response nationwide. So loved it. And when it was time for me to move on from that, I developed Rally Point, started to develop the mission. And the whole idea behind it was, what could I have used back during that first 4-year tour that wouldn't have led to burnout? Because I might have been able to do something better.
Yeah.
I might have the success and the health of the chapter may not have been dependent completely upon me and the number of hours I could put in each week. And so developing the 4 mission vectors, collaborate is one of them. Like I said, the nonprofit leader that wants to try to do it himself is going to fail. You just can't do it all by yourself. So collaboration is part of it. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to know what success looks like. Part of being a leader is being able to paint the target. If my people don't know what we're going after, what the end game is, what the target looks like, what the bullseye and success looks like, then how do we know it's successful? You're just out there shooting it, and you're wasting effort at that point. So to be able to strengthen, how do we train these nonprofits on things such as, what does your board of directors need to look like? What do your bylaws need to cover? What is your code of ethics? All these things that there are industry best practices, using Better Business Bureau, using Charity Navigator, using Candid. There are metrics by which you can gauge success. So we're actually painting the target. And so to teach that to smaller or mid-sized nonprofits who may have not had that experience, background, education, that allows them to get those things in line. So as they get bigger and they go to scale, number one, they're more appealing to donors because they've got their stuff in order. but also as they grow to scale, they're already growing with those key good practices, best practices already in place.
Yeah.
So you got the strengthen part. Mobilize is people want to get their hands dirty. They want to actually do something. It's not about meetings. It's not about conference calls. At the end of the day, it is, okay, I want to put my gloves on. I want to go get some work done.
Yeah.
And so be able to, with my background in disaster response and the people we have on board, to be able to spearhead those local service projects. It could be something as little as, all right, we're going to, this community needs a dog park. So how do we put our gloves on and get my chainsaw and my tractor out there, and how can I help the community?
Yeah.
People want to do good work. And then also that disaster response component. When the tornado hit in Little Rock in 2023, we were out there doing it, and people were coming on board, coming up to us and say, hey, can we join you? We've got a chainsaw, but we don't know where to start.
Right.
And in some cases, when it comes to those disaster response, you get on site and you actually get started and getting work done, or you go in there and you're assessing the situation. It's like that scene in Save It Private Ryan, whenever Tom Hanks' character gets on the beach and he says, we've got to get off the beach. People after those disasters, especially the ones, the residents that are there, some of them are just stuck because how do we do this? What's the next step? How do we move forward? And so sometimes it takes some more experienced people. And Chris, you've done this. You go into those areas and you say, okay, step one is, all right, let's move forward. How do we assess? All right, let's start working. And we found in many cases, once we got out there and started working, people would come out and hear the saws, and they would get out there and start helping their neighbor or going to check on their neighbor. So sometimes it's just that initiation device that people need or communities need to get started. Obviously, we weren't there for long term, but we were there for the first 72, 96 hours, depending on the event.
That's often like the most important time when people are trying to regroup, when everybody's standing around in shock,
We got to get off the beach.
Yeah.
Well,
We got to move.
In 2018, tornado hit my house, and luckily the house wasn't damaged very bad. There was a lot of damage to my property, and it's the shock, like you said.
Yeah.
Deer in the headlights. Like, oh no, what do I do now? I had a building that was on the ground on top of a couple of cars and tractor and all my everything. Well, how am I going to do this?
I've worked in the middle of multiple tornadoes and hurricanes and all that. And no matter how many times I do it, I've trained myself enough now that when I go in, and I always find that I'm just looking and my jaws drop.
Yeah.
And then okay, it's
in.
time you have to stop looking around and being a watcher, and you have to be a doer
you're
now.
not a tourist.
So when you're in that,
Yeah.
all right.
You-
2 minutes ago,
Yes.
everything was normal.
Yeah.
And then now, I can't remember what year, 2019, 2020, when the hurricane hit Grand Isle
Mm-hmm.
down in Louisiana. I deployed with the National FOP disaster. Went down there. We set up camp at the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. Maybe their motor pool or something. And one day I really wanted some ice cream. And fun fact, when there's no electricity, it's hard to find ice cream.
Everything is in short supply when you're in those. It's like,
It's so we've been there a couple of days. And I was the FOP president at that time for Little Rock FOP, and then the past president was with me, and so we'd be there a few days and just helping all the cops that were because they have to work, right?
Yep.
And like I need something else, and so I wound up driving initially to searching for ice cream, but kept driving further south, and like you said, wow.
Yeah, you can't stop
Because
looking.
before that hit land, everything's fine. 10 seconds later, it's not.
Yeah.
And the landscape has changed.
Well, that was what was different about Little Rock. And I talked to a couple of my guys, and that one would hit us differently because normally we go to the damage. We go to the storm, and
This is home.
we've never been here before.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find our way around. And I remember going down there on Rodney Parham where that hit, and the daycare that was there, a church was there, is where my stepson was at 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so the storm came to me this time, and so it was a different setting for that. But just like when you go into it, you put your game face on, you clock in. All right, we're here to do work. We got a deadline of 72 hours because most everybody are volunteers.
Yeah.
And so we've got to get them back to their jobs. They've got 3 days. So how do we maximize the goodwill of them taking PTO to come out and do these missions? And so that to me was some of the most rewarding experience. So I wanted to bring that to Rally Point and bring that experience with Chris, with you and Zach. The ones that can go in there, can turn off the emotion, that can say, all right, what is the need? How do we move forward? And then to be able to leverage the goodwill of those that want to work. And then the ones, whenever you have somebody that comes up and says, hey, I got a tractor, can I help? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Come on. We just had another force multiplier. So the mobilize is a key, is a love that I have for those that service related projects and the disaster response, just because there's nothing more rewarding than day 3, day 4, and you got sawdust in places it's got no business being. You haven't had a shower since you left the house. You are worn out and you don't feel better. There's no way you can feel any better. And you can tell the newbies that have gone on the first one, because by day 1, day 2, you're telling them drink water. But they're so excited because they've helped this lady that was crying whenever we said, hey, can we move this tree off your house? And you keep telling them, drink water, make sure you drink water. By day 3, day 4, that energy level is just dropped because they're dehydrated. But you can't pull the smile off their face because they're doing good work.
Right.
And that's the key to it. They're doing good work. And a lot of them have come and said, man, I've been in rehab for X number of times, or, since I lost my leg, I didn't think I had a purpose, but man, I've got a purpose now. And so that's the whole idea behind it, is to be able to say, what tried to kill you failed. So between now and dead, what are you going to do with it?
Yep.
What's your purpose? Passion is what you do for yourself. Purpose is what you do for others. And so how do you leverage that purpose and find out what it is? My favorite Mark Twain quote is, the 2 best days of a man's life: the day he was born, the day he finds out why. And that to me is key to being able to figure out what your purpose is. And once you do that, there's a contentment level. And so with Rally Point, that's the thing. And then finally, the last one is prevail. A lot of things that tried to kill you can make you stronger, whether it's been through a traumatic injury, a traumatic event, loss of a loved one, loss of a child, loss of a parent. We've all got trauma. It's not just military and first responders. Now, they have a higher level because their job that they signed up for has a higher propensity for trauma and tragedy, and they see more of the ugly and the evil. But people out there are people that have never worn the uniform that have trauma. They have PTS, they have post-traumatic stress, they have traumatic injuries or traumatic events. And so how do we help these nonprofit leaders that, even though they've had this past trauma or neglect or whatever it may be, how do we speak into their lives? And so the prevail side of it is, you can't give out of an empty cup. You can't pour out of an empty cup. You just can't. There's nothing there to give out. So how do we help, using these principles of post-traumatic growth? How do we help them take care of themselves? How do we provide those resources, those steps, those keys, those tools to be able to do that? So that's a lot, but it's the things that a nonprofit leader needs. He needs to be able to work with other people, needs to know what his numbers are and how do I paint the target and what's success. He needs to have a real world mission. So how do we work together to actually go out and get hands dirty? And finally, he needs to be able to take care of himself. And so that's what Rally Point's trying to do.
Nice.
But I want to respond to you two things. When he's talking about doing good work, and I was talking earlier on the wellness stuff, like we're not made to experience some of the things that we are forced to by man to experience, or street violence in the community. When you go do something for somebody that's in that crisis moment, or really anything, and I in my experience, right? When there's a genuine appreciation, when you know, it is very clear without words being spoken, you have made that difference.
Yep.
Right. And going back to when the tornado hit my house, so I guess three things. I'll put a plug in for this guy. I think they ended up actually moving off, right? But I don't know if he's in Arkansas, Central Arkansas area. It was a 1,600 square foot, 2-story building, stick built wooden building, with all kinds of stuff inside. And what am I going to do? Right. I ended up having some friends with some equipment, co-workers. My wife's cousin brought a huge tractor. My neighbor let me pile stuff up at his house and burn it. But you can't burn it all. And just out of the blue, a Baptist men's group, maybe not Baptist, a men's group from a church that I don't even know I know the guy's family is from about 45 minutes up in Pope County. A lot of their people are up there. They showed up unannounced, unrequested, and he owned a dumpster business. And he said, "Will you go out and do service projects?" The men's group from the church. I'd fill one up and call him, and he'd bring another one. And I can't remember how many I had to use. There was nothing. They wanted nothing in return. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. I'd probably still be throwing that stuff away.
Wow.
So when you can do that, and I think everybody here has heard me say, at some point, you get out of the universe what you put into it. So it feels really good. Those are the good things in life. And so the second thing was, I don't know that we've ever actually talked about it. When the tornado you're talking about hit, I was a division commander with the PD. Not in that division, but that division commander had just left probably the day before to go to the FBI Academy. So when it hit, well, I guess I better start that direction. It ended up being one of the first ones that actually set up the command post at the church, finding that location. There were places that I'd been up and down Shackelford, right there by the fire station, in the little community park where the pool, that little 3-way intersection. I didn't recognize where I was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Completely flat.
So you're talking about bringing out the tractors. Jeff, anybody that's listening that maybe was there or whatever, thank you so much, because there were trees, huge trees, that who knows how old they were, flung across the road.
Yeah.
The cops can't get them out of the way. It would have taken hours to get any kind of city services there to clean it up, to get the streets open.
And there wouldn't have been enough of them.
And there wouldn't have been enough of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody's prepared.
We
Nobody
couldn't
has
even
the
get all the
resources.
cops into that area.
Right.
Because of the traffic situation, because it was a huge storm. And in the daytime when people are out and about, the neighborhood, a guy showed up with a tractor, like, where do you keep this thing? Like, does your wife know you have this?
Right.
And where can I get one?
And groups like Sheepdog, church groups, there were kids showing up that were military guys that were off. Where can I help? All the law enforcement, I've never seen so many cops from other agencies.
Yeah.
Coming, the federal agencies. I didn't even know we had that many at that federal agency here in this area. They were everywhere, and especially that neighborhood where it initially kind of touched down.
Yeah. Jump
before
430.
it went across the freeway.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the huge damage we started picking
Big
up as it
trees.
went over the freeway. But the neighbors came out. Like I said, like the guy with the big tractor, like, why do you even have this? And got the street open enough to where we could get things, to get other crews in, the officers could go in, and anybody needed help, get them out.
Yeah, big shout out to Henry Moore. He was key for us. He was one of the contacts that I had, and I said, "And where's the need? How many of your officers are needing help?" And so he was giving us work orders for cops, and then we went down to sheriffs, and then we went down to firefighters, and we put the word out to the different chaplains. Hey, we got people here that will take care of your stuff first. That plus we know you're on shift. You're working 12 on, 12 off.
Yeah, I got to experience the same thing as a few years before in Louisiana. Like, luckily, I think there were very few officers that were affected by the storm itself, like at their house or apartment or, but it was an all call.
Yeah.
We work 12s,
You know,
7 days a
there
week.
was a button. The chief pushed the button. Everybody,
Yeah.
500 something officers were coming in, and because of the groups like you guys in the community, it got to a point we didn't have any more work to do.
Yeah.
And we were sending out the teams, and it's like we don't have anywhere to send you, and so it was awesome. And it has to happen.
I've been on when I was with Sheepdog, I'd been on 34 different deployments, and I've never seen a 60-foot tree pulled out of the ground and slid across the yard. And that was the first time down there off of a Roddy Parham that I saw it. And 20 feet over here was the hole where it was standing, and it blew it out of the ground and then slid it across the yard.
Root
seen
ball
it.
and all.
Root ball
Yeah.
and all. Just picked it up.
That's
and
what I was
slid it
talking
across
about.
the-
They were like, wow.
Root
And
ball
I've been
being
to
12
a few
feet,
different tornadoes.
12 feet tall.
Yeah.
Root
The
ball
last
alone.
one that hit Valonia.
Yep.
14.
14.
That was another one.
Yeah.
Where because there's no power, I was in the back of a truck actually. Some guys were headed in there to try to do some searching because they thought there were people in houses.
There were no houses.
Correct. Well, I mean, there were, but that one neighborhood, like it really hit hard and flattened everything.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where
Downtown
we
got
ended
hit
up going.
hard. Yeah. Downtown.
And so we were in the middle of town of Valonia city limits. And because there's no power and the landscape had changed so much, it took me a minute. And are we?
Mhm.
Oh, wow. We're in the middle of town. And
Yeah.
I thought we were kind of just getting into town.
There used to be buildings here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were complete.
So
I worked it as well.
all your landmarks are
Yeah.
gone, so you're disoriented. Everything's
Yeah.
disoriented. Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that it's difficult to tell me. You see stuff on TV and the politics of all of it, and they say America is an evil country or whatever. You can't tell me that. You can't convince me of that. I've seen too many people coming out of their houses to help others. Too many people and just showing up at the gym and just giving truckloads of stuff to complete strangers.
Yeah.
Too many people just show up with tractors and skid steers saying, "What do you need?"
I had
So-
a guy come to my house. I said, my house, I'm very lucky. Like, never had to move out. Very minimal damage to the actual. A guy that lived down the road, never met the guy in my life. I just pulled up and talked to my wife and said, I got a barn or whatever at the shop. If you need to put some stuff in it, just whatever. I don't know. I don't even know. To this day, I'm not sure which house he's at. It's on a different road around the corner, just showing up to help.
Yeah.
There's a need to fill.
Yep.
And I think the majority of people want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the community wants to do good things, and I think kind of like anywhere, if you don't have anything to do at work, maybe you get in some kind of trouble or what. A lot of our when people say maybe America's evil and things like that, they don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
So we sit around, but when we have something to do,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we get up and we show who we are.
And I think a lot of that is the idleness you talked about, and that lack of purpose. People don't feel like they have a purpose. They don't feel a sense of purpose. And if you don't have that and you're rudderless, what do? It's the next thing that makes me feel good. The next thing that just gives me a little thrill or, dulls the pain or whatever. But again, if you can figure out why you're here and you can find your purpose, and there's a contentment level there that no matter what happens, you're on track. You're doing the things you're supposed to be doing. And I think with the nonprofit sector in general, there's a lot of people out there that have found their purpose or are searching for their purpose, and they're looking for a way to give back. And whatever we can do through the collaborate, strengthen, mobilize, and prevail, what we can do to help them to realize that, then we're doing our job. And we are building a stronger nonprofit community in the state.
Awesome. So you're going to do that. You're going to work with these other nonprofits to help them, collaborate with them, right?
Yep.
Strengthen, mobilize, prevail. And how are you going to get them all in? You're going to get them all in one place because you have this new property. You're excited about
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. We've got,
I am excited for you. Tell us.
we just signed a lease yesterday on a 9,000 square foot floor of the Tower building. Graham Catlett and his team have been just phenomenal in working with us to get into this space. But it's 9,000 feet of a nonprofit center of excellence. And what we want to develop there is a business hub for nonprofits. One of the things that are needed that are on these front end or these mid-sized nonprofits, a lot of times they're working out of their home, they're working out of their garage. And I was this way when we first started. You're nomads. You're having your chapter or your team meeting at the Waffle House or the IHOP or one of the library conference rooms.
It's a wellness network that we started at the Backer but David's.
Yeah, exactly. So my first meeting was at the old Dixie Cafe on Rebsman before that closed down. So, you're just always trying to find a space. So with this nonprofit center of excellence, the NCOE that we're calling it, it's the whole 5th floor of the Tower building. It allows us to house 22 nonprofits. We've got 22 offices. And the amenities that we're putting in this package for the tenants will allow them to be a fully functional professional nonprofit. We've got a 26 by 27 classroom that you can give classes, you can give seminars, you can take classes, and that strengthened part of it. We'll be hosting some of the classes, but it's a classroom space you can have. So if, say, you're an organization that teaches assist training, suicide training, got a space for you. If you give classes for podcasts, we've got a space for you. It's all part of your lease. Speaking of podcasts, we're going to put in a full podcast studio. We're going to provide training for those nonprofits that have always wanted to do a podcast similar to this. This is the next thing in communications, long form.
Yeah.
And so, thank you for letting us be here today. But this allows them, each nonprofit, the space will be able to be changed around and moved around. So there's some variation in there, and so your podcast can look unique. So podcast space, conference rooms. We'll have mailing services there, so you can have a downtown Little Rock mailing address. You have meeting spaces to where you want to meet a donor. You want to meet somebody that wants to come in and talk about your organization. Well, come by my office. It's at the Tower building. So this will allow those startups, and it may be a one-man operation, but you and another one-man operation can share an office space, split the cost in half, but still have all the amenities involved with it. And so I think this is the physical manifestation of collaborate, strengthen, mobilize, and prevail, is the nonprofit center of excellence. And we're really excited about it. Again, thank you to Graham Catlett and his group there at the Tower building. I think this is something that will be a game changer for the state and especially for the city. Doors will open on January 1st, but we are already showing the building. So if you want a space, just look us up and we'll be able to get you a tour of the building. And I think it's going to be one of those game changers.
That's awesome. You said you'll be maybe you're a one-man operation, but it sounds like when you come into that, you aren't a one-man operation anymore. All of a sudden you have a lot of people backing you up.
Absolutely.
That have experience and know what they're doing.
And we want to have those conversations to where if down the hall there's an organization that's doing something similar to what you're doing, and that's part of the beauty of being a leadership network, is that the worst thing for a nonprofit leader is to have to tell somebody that's in need no.
Right.
We don't do that. We don't have the facilities, we don't have the resources to do that. But the beauty of Rally Point, of being a network, an association of leaders, is I can't do that. Give me 15 minutes. Let me make a phone call. Let me get on the website, and I think I know a guy, or
Be able to walk down the hallway and say,
the hallway and say, hey, don't you guys do X, Y, and Z? I got a guy that's on the phone, or I've got a guy I'm going to call back. Don't you guys do that? Let me give you his number. And so those needs are being met. So as a nonprofit leader, you can focus on your mission, but you have left and right lateral partners. We're not asking for, as a rally point, we're not asking for your database. We're not asking for your email list. We're not asking for we don't want any of that. And we don't want to tell you how to do your mission. You have complete mission autonomy. Go do what you do best.
Right.
But we're going to be here to help you give resources. We're going to help you be better, stronger, faster, to be more approachable, be more appealing to donors, so you can build your capacity, and you're not doing it all by yourself. It's that part where it's that Elijah complex where you think I'm the only prophet left in the land. And the Bible talks about, no, there are a bunch of them over the hill over here. You're not the last one here, buddy. We got more people here that can help support you. And that's what the thing about Rally Point is. When you're up at 2 a.m. trying to Google what event insurance is and try to figure out the intricacies of insurance for a 5K, and I'm trying to figure out who do I need to talk with about this, it's now a phone call away. Or, hey, we're going to have I got a guy down the hallway. He just did a 5K. Let me go talk to him because I know he's done it.
Yeah.
So the idea that
Or we put the class on.
we'll put a class on, absolutely.
Or event preparation.
These senior, the ones that have been doing this for 5, 6, 7 years that are part of Rally Point can say, if you're doing a 5K, let me know. We just did one too. We've been doing one for the last 5 years. We'll be happy to be that resource for you.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing behind it. You're not the last one here. You're not the only one here. Whatever tried to kill you failed. And we know you're trying to pursue your purpose. We want to be that resource to help you with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So you brought up a good thing. Is one of the big things, obviously earlier, and get on that wellness soapbox. A lot of guys think they're by themselves.
Yep.
They're the only ones that feel that way, right? And so, yeah, with the nonprofits, we're all here to do the same thing: is to make the community better.
Yeah.
And it may not even be the military or first responder nonprofit. It may be, I said something about training. There may be an education nonprofit to teach people how to do things, or transition. This call started with the military veteran or military and first responder arena, right?
Right.
There's a huge need that you and I have talked about. This kind of exploded. Wow, we've got a lot of opportunity here to do some really good stuff, and it's grown.
Yep.
Bring in, this podcast, Business and Politics Inside. If you got, let's teach about business. And I know, and I met a gentleman, and I can't remember his name, worked for the city of Little Rock. And I was, I think I was doing some after-hour extra duty, off-duty security for the building. I think that's what it was, at Willie Hinton Center building there on 12th Street, the community building. And they put on a class for small business, teaching people how to do that. A basic, in the community, free program. And I think it ran for a certain period, 12 weeks, whatever. But so things like that.
Yeah.
And it's not hard for everything to overlap too,
Absolutely.
My background's military law enforcement and wellness passion, but it all works together.
Yeah, Chris, your business and financial literacy, that would be a great class to teach these nonprofits, because again, it goes under strengthen. How do you paint the target for financial success in a nonprofit? How do you handle your books? How do you set up your account? How do you set up your signature? All those things that can be done, because it is a nonprofit business.
Sure.
It's still a business. And
Right.
if you don't run it like a business, it won't be there very long. So, I mean, even what you teach and the podcast, what you bring to the table, those are things that nonprofits who are out there by themselves not being aware of. And that's a lot of it is awareness.
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know at this point. So to be able to have people, even if they don't sign up to be a tenant at the nonprofit center, to be able to sign up as a member of Rally Point. Maybe they already have a lease space. Maybe they can't get out of the lease right now, but to be a part of that network that allows you to be able to have these resources that are all over the place that you can get better at.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were, as the director of legislative affairs, if you're speaking to a legislator, what do you need? Let's make us successful. What do we
Jeff
need here?
just said, but it's nonprofit, but it's a business. Heavily regulated, tax code, a lot of rules and things you can do. Basically, anything you can do. The government, obviously, the government is not. They're not my parents, right? But we do pay in for certain services to manage things and provide us services. When we need those things, we need help facilitate initiatives. Build those relationships. I'm going to need your help, okay? And also, when people need things, they call their representative, either whether it's their city council member, the mayor, their state reps, or their U.S. Congressman.
Huh?
When they call me. Call Rally Point. We got you. Send them our way. They've got a constituent that wants to start a nonprofit. This is a simple example. Hey, we need a nonprofit over here. Anybody that's from Arkansas or been around Arkansas, I was born in Mississippi, in Greenville, and spent most of my young life in southeast Arkansas. The Delta area is historically a low socioeconomic area. People need access to resources there. Somebody wants to start a nonprofit. How do I do it? And they call the senator's office. Call me. Call Rally Point. Building those relationships. So what do I want from you? I want you to bring me people that need help.
Yeah, that's great.
And let me help them.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And then when we need things, and the world adjusts, right? So the laws, that's why we have every 2 years, they go to session and, here in the States to say, we need to address certain things because the world's ever changing. And some of those things could affect the nonprofit. And in recent times, right before I retired, the wellness stuff, and we really started to buy into it. Well, people were still afraid, okay, to talk about it with anybody. And then who do you talk to? Because now if you get subpoenaed to court or through administrative investigations, you're forced, like you can legally be forced to talk about it, nobody's talking. So the legislation was changed to provide protection and for peers, certified peers, things like that.
Okay.
Getting those initiatives taken care of. And then now another piece of legislation was guaranteeing a certain number of wellness clinician, mental health clinician visits after a critical incident, such as shooting, a death scene, or anything can really be a traumatic incident based on an individual. If you have it determined to be, whatever, you have a certain number of visits statutorily that are required. There's no agency pushback. It's not allowed. State legislators, these are the rules. And so those are the things that, we'll be asking for. And just to build the relationships and they know we're here for them. When the people in the community call for help, here's where you turn.
Yep.
Right in downtown Little Rock, and we can reach the whole state.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Jeff, if you were reaching out, microphone into the whole community and everyone hears you right now, what can we do for you? What do you need to do? Tell us.
Need to get the word out that there are a lot of good people out there doing good work. And again, like I said, the enthusiasm and the energy and the effort are all finite. And so if you've got a nonprofit, we want to help you. We're not going to take over your mission. Your mission is completely autonomous. We're not going to do anything that tells you what to do. We're just going to provide those resources. We want you to get on rallypointnc.org and look at the literature library. If you don't know how to set up your bylaws, if you don't have a board of directors set up, we want to be able to provide those resources for you. If you've got a nonprofit, we want to work with you. If you've got people who want to start a nonprofit, we want to work with you. If you're a donor or a sponsor that's looking for a nonprofit to assist and to donate to, Rally Point's a force multiplier. With the nonprofit center, we're going to have at least 22 nonprofits in there. So if you donate to the nonprofit center, that's a force multiplier. You're not just donating to one nonprofit. You're helping to equip and strengthen nonprofits all over the state. And so I think that's the key to this business hub is that you have an opportunity to be an effective driver for multiple nonprofits, people that want to do good work. And these are people that have had traumas, that have tried things that have tried to kill them, coming up. And these are strong people. This is a great group of people to be a part of. And I'm honored to be associated with these nonprofit leaders that are reaching out and doing this for nothing. We're not talking about the 6-figure Mercedes driving, CEOs of a large national. We're talking mom and pop operations. These are all mom and pop small businesses and mid-sized nonprofits who are just getting out there and hustling, trying to make things happen. And so come join us. Come be a part of it. Let us know if there's something that you're proficient in. There are other nonprofits that need your help. If you are starting out or have got an idea for a nonprofit, hit us up. We'll give you some tools and some templates that allow you to get started. We want you to be better, stronger, faster by knowing us, and we want to be able to strengthen the nonprofit community as a whole.
Man, that's awesome, Jeff. Man, I can't tell you how overwhelming and good it feels to sit next to and work with people like you guys that have huge vision for helping people. Being a part of that is
I said earlier about the universe. Like, you get what you put in, and Jeff said the mom and pop people. All right,
Yeah.
hey, I've got a nonprofit here in this small town.
yeah,
All right, and we're going to do a statewide cleanup.
yeah.
I mean, not a statewide, excuse me, citywide cleanup, and clean up all the trash. It makes the whole city better.
Absolutely. And sometimes it is, we just have to get off the beach. We just, who's that person that will be that part that, two things real quick. I wanted to talk about another initiative that we've got real quick.
Okay, we got time.
We've developed with New Life Church and Dale Hull, pastor out there at Maumelle. Had a meeting with him, and it was one of the wellness meetings, probably the second or third wellness meeting we had. And he was talking about the families of of veterans and first responders and the military that we have here.
Arkansas has one of the largest reserve National Guard.
Absolutely.
There's some that are really huge, but I actually saw something the other day. We're pretty high up on the list, around 10,000 probably.
My point on that is we've got Rally Point, and in the Wellness Network, we have an initiative that we are trying to reach out to the families of military personnel, veterans, and first responders. And we talked about this at lunch today. The criteria or the things that kept you guys alive on the job, stoicism, the skepticism, and the heightened awareness, those are great keeping you alive when you're on the job, but they don't make for a conducive relationship at home.
No.
It's just the opposite. If you're skeptical, you're stoic, and you've got a heightened sense of alert, the family doesn't understand why. Dad's just being dad. And so it's hard to turn that off. It's hard to get them to understand. Now, the ones that have been there long enough they do understand, but divorce rate, you guys know the divorce rate in first responders. It's astronomical.
No, well,
It's divorce rate on the military side is crazy. The job is a tough job to do, and to be able to go home and turn that off. My daughter, up until just a couple months ago, was a CAC investigator, and so her being my oldest kid. Oh, sorry, crimes against children.
Yep.
Crimes against. She was on the internet task force, crimes against children. And so some of the things she saw and that ugly and evil that she saw that you guys have seen, she would call me and say, Dad, I've got a tough one. All right, let's talk it out. I wanted to get the smoke out of her head. So when she went home to her 8-year-old and 10-year-old daughters, that's not what she was thinking about. She had processed through it. She had talked through it and got out of her head. And so I'm highly aware of what you guys on the law enforcement side and what we on the veteran side have dealt with. But so there needs to be those nonprofits that speak to the families of military personnel, veterans, and first responders, and across the board. Again, PTS, post-traumatic stress, and trauma is across the board. It's not a uniform thing. It's a human thing. And so we've got a lot of nonprofits out there that are helping with counseling for people who have gone through the death of a child or death of a loved one or, long-term illness. So all those things, we want to make sure we speak to the families. And I wanted to ask you if you wanted to say about the position that you've taken.
yeah.
As executive director, we are tickled to death have Chris come on as our director of strategic partnerships.
Thank you.
For the Collaborate mission vector. We're ecstatic to have your experience and your background. You're an outside the box thinker, and I like that. Zach and I have had that conversation. Well, he's as crazy as we are. Okay, cool. Come on, saddle up. Let's go. So welcome aboard, and
I think I
and-
sent you a
and
text
thanks.
yesterday. I said, "Wow, this is so crazy. It might work."
It just might work.
It just
Right.
might work.
Yeah, I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
Right.
But yeah, I just want to first make the announcement and to thank you for taking the gig.
Thanks again. Really, the reason would be because I'm thankful to be a part of something, working with guys like you who have a greater vision for helping people. That's that service. That's what I've always done, and it's what I am, and I
Absolutely.
want to continue.
I don't think all of your servant people or the joined military, even the preachers and policemen, not everybody is, but a lot of us are wired that way.
Right.
And we're not happy unless we're doing something
Doing good work.
that
Do good work.
is pushing the world forward,
Right.
and helping other people, feeling needs for people. And they say that maybe I have a lot of unresolved trauma. I don't know. Maybe I got some daddy issues or something. I don't know. But I don't, or you grow into what you felt like you needed the most as a kid.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. I don't want nobody, I don't want anybody to feel that way. You need help? Okay, I'll help you.
Yeah.
And I don't want anything in return.
Well, I think there's
And
a lot of
us are wired like that.
I think there's a lot of quiet desperation out there, and I think a lot of it is the lack of purpose. I go back, and I've referred to this many times. The scene in City Slickers where Billy Crystal's character is at his school's career day, and he's trying to explain that he sells airtime on a radio station. He sells commercial time.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to explain it, and then the whole time he's kind of got this look on his face like, okay, I'm trying to explain this to 6 or 7 year olds. And then it shows the kids, and they all have this crazy look on their face like, what? And so the kid at the end of it, he says, you have any questions? And the kid raises his hand and says, so you're telling me you sell air? And so he has this existential crisis. Okay, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
This is not what I'm designed for. So he goes through the whole thing with the Dude Ranch and the adventure and the hilarity and shenanigans ensue. But I've always thought back to that. And for years, before I came into the nonprofit sector, I've always tried to figure out what I'm doing. Am I selling air?
Right.
Am I actually going to make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
So happy to be here today, but and thanks for the opportunity to talk about Rally Point. But I think being around this group of people with Zach and Chris and Cade, I think that it's. I feel that I'm with my people and my tribe, and we've got a lot of people out there that feel the same way. A lot of people that are just want to help others, and they've got a desire to do something beyond selling air. And so we want to be a part of that resource for you. We want to be able to get everybody together and collaborate, strengthen, mobilize, and prevail.
Awesome.
One thing, Jeff. So I'm married to a retired cop.
Yeah.
Said, "Oh, Dad's just being dad." You think it's okay if I say Mom's just being mom?
Well, you do what you got to do, man. I'm not touching that. That's on you, brother. You got to go home.
And we talked about lunch too. Talk about the divorce rate stuff. Been married both of our first marriages. I don't know how we lasted.
Yeah.
Both retired, but I think sometimes being married to someone in the same profession can hurt because you're both dealing with things.
Yeah.
And, but she's been really good at understanding, so I don't have to go deep and explain it. She gets it.
Yeah, that's
helped
good.
me. My own personal experience, but I'm probably not going to say Mom's being mom, not in front of her.
No,
Not a good idea.
not out loud. No.
Right. And guys, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Looking forward
Absolutely.
to seeing what you guys do, what we do.
Yeah, we
with
now
Rally
man.
Point.
We already told everybody
Right.
you're coming on.
It's a we.
rallypointnc.org. Reach out to us, and if there's anything we can do, we
You need
will
help, call
make
me.
it happen.
Outstanding.
Awesome.
Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
Thank you. Let's wrap it up. Let's be done.
All
This episode of Business and Politics Inside.
All right. See y'all next time.
All right,
All right.
we'll see you.
Thanks.